Yeah. Come on, let's go.
What's going on, you guys? This is Bridget Kelly, and you are locked into We Talk Weekly.
Yeah. We Talk Weeklies after the talk of WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful.
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And the beautiful. Lady, I start your mic not on again. Check that one more again.
Testing.
There you go. All right, Classy Lady Sparkle. Touch your mic one more again.
Mic test.
Oh,
Check. One.
Yeah, I gotta turn you up. That's what that's about. All right, so we are definitely in the house today. We got a dynamic show. A couple interviews. I need some music. I need like my theme music or something playing, you know what I mean, while I'm talking. It's my guy from Seven. So, my guy Seven. Shout out to Seven. He did this. It's called Stranger Things. He produced this track. He's like, yo, Charles Gregory, anything you want. I mean, I got a slew of beats you can use. So I gotta give my shout out. Shout out to my guy. Shout out to Seven of Dime in the building, man, from New York. He's doing some great things.
Stranger Things.
Yeah, behind the Stranger Things, right? And so you know, before we do anything, I gotta ask y'all, how was your day, Classy Lady? How was your day?
It wasn't bad. I had a lot of. I did today. My youngest baby just turned 24, so her birthday is today. Today is also National Women's Day, and she is the one child that acts just like the National Women's Day. I be like, yeah. Some things just be like, don't have your cup overflowing with that. Like, not too much balance. But shout out to my buddy Des. Her daughter is having a baby, so I went to her baby shower. Her second grandchild. Yeah, I did. I'm tired. I'm like, I did a lot of running around and so it was chill, but I think slow motion. And then don't we spring forward
Tonight.
That's tonight?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we're gonna lose an hour.
Yeah.
I can't afford to lose no hour while I'm eating, while I'm fasting. Jeez.
Just think it's 9 p.m. already.
Yeah, I know, right?
Right, but are they gonna get rid of that? The falling back and springing forward?
I heard they said they was going to do
There's
something.
what
been
about
talks about it, but it hasn't been confirmed.
Right.
If it's a yes and if it's and when.
The thing I do like about springing forward is that I can go run earlier. You know, like the sun comes up earlier than later in the morning. So
No, it doesn't. It comes up later.
we had this discussion last time. Is that
Everything is pushed back an hour.
No,
it's pushed forward an hour.
right? So
You lose an hour.
Yeah, so it stays lighter longer.
right, so the sun rises earlier.
No, it doesn't. It rises later because it stays up later. It rises earlier when it gets dark earlier in the fall.
I disagree.
Okay.
Yeah, I disagree. The sun comes up at like
You added an hour to your
Sun
morning.
will come out.
no, I'm saying like
tomorrow.
the sun will rise. Let's just say at 6 a.m.
And now it's gonna be rising at 7, so it's gonna be later.
No, it's going. Nah, I don't know. Somebody.
It's going forward.
Somebody debunk me, because right now, unless I read it, it's
you don't need to read it. Just,
I got
common sense.
no. I know. That's what I'm saying. Like I get up when in the wintertime, my workouts are later because the sun doesn't come up early enough. During the summertime, my workouts are earlier because the sun rises earlier. So somebody got to debunk me on that one.
You just getting up earlier, but I'm telling you, if you woke up today at 6 and it was light, wake up tomorrow at 6, it's going to be. It's
going to be
light.
Yeah, it's good. The sun. How was your day, Lady Esther? How was your day?
Could have pivot.
Okay.
See, that's called. Listen. Let me tell you something.
That's funny.
That's called media training, right? You gotta learn that. Sometimes it's not even worth the look. All right, just how was your day? You know, go
All
there.
right, I'm gonna ask ChatGPT while we hear what Lady S. Dot's day was like.
My day was okay. Productive. I got some production work done that I've been working on. So putting a dent in some of that stuff as always makes you feel good when you get things off your plate. So that's all I've been doing all day. Staring at computer screens.
That's how I say. I had to get a new computer.
I want one.
Yeah, had to get a new computer. For some reason, all of the files are getting bigger. The computers are getting slower or working harder to edit the timeline of huge files. And my computers, it just wasn't. It literally, look. So the other day, I was editing. I want to say something that was like only like 10 minutes long.
How long that take?
Oh my gosh, man. It took almost an hour to export, right? But it took even longer for me to scrub through only 10 minutes of footage to try to make sure, you know how you kind of go over your work, try to make sure like all the pieces are there, the lower thirds over here, this, that, and other. But it took a long time for me to do that. I was like, I had to get another computer. I just had to get another computer. So I got
Are you editing on a PC?
That's right. I sure am. And guess what I got?
What program you using?
Another PC. That's right. What program? Adobe Premiere. Works best on a PC. I don't know. But yeah, it's just one of those things, man. So hopefully my workflow. So this is the thing. I don't even mind. I hate editing, right? But I don't mind editing if someone doesn't slow down my workflow, right?
That part.
Put everything together and I can go export, boom, 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 scrub through and keep it out and push it out, right? But if the computer is struggling with these files, man, it don't help that I got like almost a terabyte just sitting on a computer, right? But still, it still should be, I don't know. Well, anyway.
Before we go on,
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta give homage to Lady S. Dot.
Okay.
I'm wrong.
Oh, there you go.
I'm totally.
You went look
Hold on,
up.
hold on.
Yeah, it's like scripture. Like just because somebody.
Let me turn off this music. You said what?
I am wrong. Totally wrong. Totally wrong. Lady S. Dot is 1,000% right, and I'm wrong. Thank you, Lady S. Dot, for educating me. I fact checked it, and she's right.
There you go.
It's not that serious.
And that's it.
Yeah,
Fact check.
That's why sometimes it's just about. That's why I ain't want to jump in. Sometimes it's just like. Sometimes it's like, look, it's all good. Like she'll find out. She'll find
out when she wake up tomorrow.
Yeah, she says, I know she woke up tomorrow. She's like, yo, it's dark out. What?
Man. I'll take it. I'll take it. Just for a couple days. That's it.
Let's get a round of applause, everybody. Get a round of applause.
That's funny.
And so we talk weeklies after the talk of WPPMIP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We talk weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory, beautiful
Classy Lady
and the
Sparkle.
beautiful.
Lady S.
So we got a dynamic show today as usual. We got 2 dynamic interviews. And why are the interviews my favorite segment of the show? Because I get the opportunity to talk to the good old folk. The folk that are doing the work out there in the community, out there in them streets. Mm-hmm. Right? And so we get a chance to talk to the good old folks and see what they doing, see what's really going down, right? And then we got someone, Fubu. Remember Fubu?
Mm-hmm. For us by us.
Yeah, for us by us. LL Cool J. LL James Todd, right? He was the one who kind of put them on the map, right? It's like Fubu, for us by us.
Right.
Boom. You know the story behind that is that he was just rapping and said, for us by us. And it just stuck. From my understanding, right? It just stuck and they just used it. Fubu, for us by us. And so I think I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure they had that before. Yeah, Earl did that. But in any event, he made it hot. You know, back then, you know, the artists they still make everything hot. You gotta love black folk. You gotta love the culture. You know, we make everything hot. And so, you know, we had this gentleman. We'll get into that story, and maybe I'll be talking about, you know what? I am wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You're going to sound like Maya Angelou. I am wrong. That's how I said it.
maybe not. And so, so we got 2 dynamic interviews, and then we got some stories.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You
Got
want
some
to go into that now?
Yeah, let's go into good news and bad news by Classy Lady Sparkle. You ready for me?
I'm ready.
All right, why don't you give it to me early?
All right, our first story is about Steven Sigmund. He killed his ex-girlfriend parents in 2001 because they opposed his relationship with their daughter. Investigators said he fatally beat them with a bat in their Greenville County home and later admitted that he planned to harm his girlfriend as well. He said, if I couldn't have her, I wasn't going to let anybody else have her, he told detectives. So South Carolina, unable to obtain lethal injection drugs, they spent about $54,000 constructing a fire squad in 2022. So this is about him killing his ex-girlfriend's parents, but it's also about the way he got the death penalty. Sigmund will be strapped into a chair, and then a target is going to be placed on his chest, and he's going to be shot by 3 anonymous executioners from 15 feet away. A doctor will confirm his death. The ACLU has challenged the state's secrecy laws surrounding execution by South Carolina, and they remain firm in its capital punishment policies. Nationally, only 3 people have died by firing squad since 1976.
So they reinstated this?
Yes.
I was about to ask. This is the first time I've heard of this.
Yeah. Yep. And it looks like the injection drugs cost more. So
Then a couple.
yeah.
Then a couple shells, huh? They just gave 'em
that's.
a couple shells.
But you know what? I don't think if they give the inmate the choice, some may choose this way. That's what it sounds like. He's even choosing that.
Yeah.
Because, I think the other one's like a slow death.
Maybe.
But did you ask your victims how they wanted to die?
That's true too. They probably be like, "Let me do it. Let me shoot."
All right, y'all. This next story is very sad. And if small children are listening, please cover their ears. In December of 2024, a gay couple, gay Georgia couple, William and Zachary Zolik, they were each sentenced to 100 years in prison without parole for their sexual bouts of their 2 adopted sons. The couple adopted 2 special needs boys who are brothers from a Christian agency in 2018. The boys, who are now 10 and 12, were being raped and sexually abused by the adopted parents.
Hold on.
I know. That's why I gave that warning.
Wow.
I know.
You don't have to use the word again. We want to say raped, right? But wow. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just recap that these boys were in a Christian agency, and they're brothers, and they were adopted by a gay couple. Wow. The couple were recording and distributing exploitation material of the boys. Evidence showed that they even bragged about the abuse to twisted friends. The couple was arrested in 2022 after an alleged member of their ring was caught downloading child porn, and he told the investigators how the Zoliks were making those type of movies with young boys who were living in their house. So a friend basically told on them. That's the only reason they were caught. They were also in the process of adopting another special needs child from the same Christian agency. Both men pleaded guilty to their charges, such as aggravated child molestation and sexual exploitation, and both men were sentenced to 100 years life sentence without parole.
when you mess with them kids, them babies, man, then they special needs, so totally. Wow.
Right.
And the sad other part is that they would always put pictures up on their social media of like gay pride T-shirts of them looking as a happy family. So we do have these stories on our website and the picture that I just described if you're listening a little late to this. This next story I think might be a good news thing.
Okay.
All right. Okay, so Governor Josh Shapiro announced.
My guy, it's the Highlander.
Okay, you want to give him a round of
Let's give
applause?
him a round of applause. Yeah.
Governor Josh Shapiro announced that he will try to hire the fired federal workers who lost their jobs due to cuts from the Trump administration. At a job fair in Harrisburg, Shapiro said Pennsylvania will consider federal job experience when hiring anyone who was fired, and they will provide online resources to help workers see how their skills match the state positions. Shapiro mentioned areas like healthcare, civil engineering, accounting, and emergency response fields where federal workers could fill over 6,000 open state jobs. He also criticized the Trump administration job cuts, saying they have made the country less safe and less healthy. What do you guys think about that?
That's amazing. Shout out to Shapiro, Governor Shapiro. He's dope. He's going to be probably, mark my words, the next president.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Really?
I think
All right.
that he will be our next president. Maybe.
Okay, he gonna throw his hat in the ring.
If the Democrats do what they supposed to be doing, because they could always drop the ball, man. We gotta get out the old way of thinking, stop doing the old playbook, strategize, get some new energy in here, and let them do the work. Man.
All right, y'all heard it in 2025 with CSET. Now here's my view on this. I think this is a great thing, but why did it have to be like a series of events? Why did the dominoes have to happen in order for them to open up these jobs from Trump? You follow me? Like, why wasn't these same jobs available for people at the state level with the same skill set? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because the people who are being fired at the federal work level, were these jobs supposed to be at the state level more availability? You know what I mean? Like, how all of a sudden now you have these 6,000 open state jobs only because of what the Trump administration did?
Yeah.
They were there.
Yeah.
Just because when you cut the tree down and leave the room doesn't mean it doesn't make a noise.
Yeah, but they were federal jobs. Well, the federal
Shapiro is state.
Yes, state. So, but the federal jobs were cut, and state jobs were already open for those who qualified for state jobs.
My point exactly.
Gotcha.
My point is that those state jobs were always open. Why is it that now, because of what Trump is doing, you're making these available?
I got you.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, is he making a ripple effect that's making everybody say, okay, let's look at our backyard a little bit more with a pencil beam. Let's with the magnifying glass on what we're doing. So I don't know. That's how I feel. But that was your good news and your bad news from your girl, Classy Lady Sparkle. We ask that we don't ask for a lot, but we asking for a little.
I love that. I love that segue. Let me find. Go ahead. Yeah,
we don't ask for a lot, but we asking for a little. If you guys know that this is independent radio and everything we bring to you is from our sweat and tears,
That's right.
Our hard days.
That's right.
This is self-funded, so we're asking for your help in helping fund this. So if you like, you could go to our Cash App with $ We Talk Weekly at Cash App. And if you can't give to us monetarily, we ask that you do it in another way. You can always subscribe, follow, share, comment, and like all of our platforms at We Talk Weekly.
Yeah, I like that.
All right. That was your good news and your bad news from your girl, Classy Lady
Give a
Sparkle.
round of applause for good news, bad news for Classy Lady Sparkle. See, this is why we do the news, right? So, a long time ago, let me explain to you what good news and bad news was, right? 100% transparent, right? So, Legacy Media, Legacy News has this saying, right? And it's not just legacy, right? But it's been this constant saying in television, in media, in news that if it bleeds, it leads. Right? Unfortunately, all the bleeding seems to come from a certain demographic, right? And so quickly I said, you know what? I get it. Bad news happens, but what about the good news? So that's how I created Good News, Bad News.
I like it.
Because I wanted to hear some good news from our people, our folk.
Right.
Because all the bad news I was hearing was black man ran and robbed somebody else, stole a car, shot up the church, and sold 1,000 drugs.
Right.
That's your anchor voice?
Nah. Hi, welcome to Movie Phone, PHL 17. Yeah, nah, right. And so that's all I would hear is bad news, bad news, bad news, bad news. From our demographic. I didn't hear bad news from no other demographic, right? And so I said, you know what, we need to, and I made sure that we do this intentional, we lead with intention, right? And say, this is my solution. We know bad news happened, but when you're doing your stories, I'm gonna hand this over to you. I need some good news stories. Not good bad.
Right. I was glad.
Not good
Well,
bad. That's
today there
different.
was some good news.
All
6,000
right,
state jobs from
Yeah, give a
Josh
round of
Shapiro.
applause, man. Shout out a round of applause for that.
And so there was some good news in
All right,
there.
no doubt. All right, y'all. So I don't want y'all to go anywhere when we come back, man. We got an interview. You know why I like the interviews? Because I get a chance to talk to the good old folk. So I don't want you to go anywhere when we come back. It's your boy Charles Gregory, the beautiful.
Classy Lady
And the
Sparkle.
beautiful.
Lady Esther.
We'll be right back after this, y'all. Hello. Let's talk to Roxanne real quick.
Hey, this is Roxanne Shante, and your week cannot be complete unless you listen to or watch We Talk Weekly. Please believe me.
What's going on, you guys? This is Bridget Kelly, and you are locked into We Talk Weekly.
Weeklies After the Talk of WPPMLP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We talk weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful.
Classy Lady
And
Sparkle.
the beautiful.
Lady Esther.
All right, and you already know what time it is, right?
What time is it?
It's time to do some interviews. You ready for me?
I'm ready.
Let us know who do we have today.
Today we have Dr. Leisha Carter, an expert in exclusive health and wellness. She transitioned from a 15-year academic career to become CEO of the Coalition for Food and Health Equity, CFHE, in 2021. Her work featured in outlets like CNN and Women's Health led to the creation of Ujamaa Cafe and Well programs, which improve food access, health, and support local businesses. She also enhanced the Hunger Project to improve food delivery across New Jersey. Y'all already know what to do. Let's give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to Dr. Leisha Carter.
Let's give another round of applause. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Fantastic. Spark, let's push her mic up to her just a little closer because I want to make sure we hear her. There we go. That's perfect. Yep. And so, we always start with, how was your day? That's how we get it because we want to know about you. Make sure you're doing well. How was your day?
My day was good. I can't complain. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's a lot of stuff that's happening in the world.
Exactly. When people ask me about my day, there's so much that happens.
Yeah.
So it's like it's good. We're here, we're present, we're doing the good work inside of so much happening, all the time. So
Yeah, fantastic.
yeah.
So let's talk about you. We're here to talk about you and how it all began. Let's start from the beginning, because you're in a dynamic field, a specific scope, which is great when we talk about health and wellness, right? That's not necessarily always talking about medicine, big pharma, right? And so, actually, Classy Lady, this is kind of your field,
Yeah.
So I'm sure you have thousands of questions, but I do want to know, what got you into that sector?
That's a big question.
Yeah.
I mean, the first thing is that, we are in the field of medicine because food is medicine.
Yeah, sure. for
Right?
sure.
You know, what we put in our body, it has 100% impact on our ability to get up, think, breathe, and be dynamic every day. And so we are in that area. But how did I get here? That's a big question.
Yeah.
It's a long story, but to make a
We
long
got time. We talk weekly.
Okay, that's true. So I'll say this. So I was a professor for 15 years.
Round of applause.
And my work when I was a professor was around conditions that environmental psychological conditions that impact Black women's engagement.
Environmental psychological.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to underscore that, and I want you to explain that. Just extrapolate that concept real quick, and then go into your story. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
just for
no,
those who's watching,
100%. Yeah. So I was most interested in when we are wondering what might be both the challenges and what might be helpful for a Black woman and or a woman of color to engage in exercise and sport from a historical context, a cultural context, from a family context, and from where they actually live, right? What are those variables? And so it might be variables like there aren't safe spaces for you to exercise, right? There might not be, paved walkways and sidewalks. There might not be a park close by. There's recent research that talks about exercise and play deserts, right? That there just isn't access to
Wow.
green spaces and safe
That's right.
spaces to engage in exercise. And so my research during that time was looking at that in the context of Black girls and Black women, that when we're looking at disparities in play and sport amongst Black women and Black girls, what does that look like for you, right?
Sound
And
like a
then
thesis. Literally. Yeah.
and then also looking at it from just our family makeup and what did your mom and your dad happen to tell you about exercise and putting yourself first and self-care, and how might that impact you then engaging in joyful movement and nutrition and emotional and psychological care practices. So I spent 15 years looking at that, all these different conditions, and doing research around that, and 15 years committed to that, being a Black woman, looking at Black women in predominantly white spaces, takes its own toll on you, because you tend to be the only, you tend to be the only voice, a Black voice, a Black woman's voice, amplifying the needs of Black women and Black girls. And around 2018, 2019, I ended up getting a Fulbright fellowship, which is
Congratulations.
one of the preeminent types of fellowships that you can get to do research abroad. I did it in London. And when I was already starting to get really burnt out and sad. Being an academician, being a professor, being a researcher, I wasn't happy anymore. And when I went over to London, that was the first time that I just felt free. I felt happy. I felt understood. I was at a university in London that understood me.
Interesting.
Yeah. I had the opportunity to do research on a large UK-based project called This Girl Ken, that was looking at exercise apartheidism and exercise deserts in London. So you have a whole UK government that has committed itself to being disruptive around kind of like structural racism, exercise apartheid, exercise deserts for girls of color, marginalized girls. And I'm like, wow, this does not exist in the U.S. Instead, in the U.S., what exists is researchers just trying to do, exploring all these different conditions, and you being told that you're crazy for doing the research and that these issues don't exist. So it was just my first time feeling like I belonged, feeling free, feeling liberated, feeling happy. And I was like, I don't want to go back to this, you know? So I was already one foot out the door.
And this was in London?
This was in London.
Now, do you think
Hold on, I want you to finish your story though. Go ahead, finish.
So, I get back from doing my Fulbright, and when you do a Fulbright, you're doing a Fulbright overseas, but the way my Fulbright was set up, I was doing my Fulbright overseas, but I still had my like research center and lab in Brooklyn as a professor. So you're still both. You're Fulbright over there, but you're still a professor over here. So when I got back, I'm back at my lab in Brooklyn, at LIU Brooklyn, and I'm like, man, I missed the high that I had here. I over in London. I want to have that sense, and I want to be able to be more disruptive in the work that I do. Now, again, this was 2019. I finished my Fulbright, I think, July 2019.
height of the pandemic?
Right before the pandemic hits,
Right.
because the pandemic started, whispers of the pandemic starts to come December 2019. And March 2020, to make a very long story short, is when one of my favorite cafes, the owner of this cafe, I go into the cafe, he's looking really depressed. He's like, hey, my cafe might have to close down because of the pandemic. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I say to him, hey, I think I can help. I get a bunch of my students together, and we start a grassroots program, a grassroots initiative to keep this one cafe open. I say, look, we're going to fundraise to help make some meals, keep your cafe open. We fundraised about $30,000
Oh, nice.
to do, basically medically tailored meals that we then delivered to folks who were food insecure in Jersey City. Again, to make a very long story short, I was able to procure close to $1 million in about a month's time. After that, once the county and stuff found out what we were doing, to scale up to serve thousands of people due to what was happening with COVID. But during all this time, because again, I was a researcher, I had a lab, I had about 13 student assistants, we were beginning to analyze who we were impacting. Right? So you have this professor who was one foot out the door of academia, wasn't happy, had been doing 15 years of research around apartheidism, exercise deserts, racism and environmental conditions. COVID hits. We want to save this cafe. We save it. But then we begin to do data analysis on, wow, the food that we're delivering to these people is actually going into desert-based locations that I had been researching for the past 15 years.
Wow.
So in November 2020, I decided to start a nonprofit, the Coalition for Food and Health Equity, that uses these data analytics and research to be more deeply disruptive around food desertality, social apartheid, but using technology and research to be very targeted in how we're disruptive in the work that we do. And so started the nonprofit, and we've been fortunate to be able to really build some steam in how we are strategic in the work around food security and health equity that we do. So I wouldn't say that we just do food security. We're very targeted in how we make the work that we do. And then also, we use food to be an economic driver for redevelopment. So when you think about food insecurity, oftentimes we think, oh, let's just feed people because they're hungry. But food insecurity and hunger is just a condition of poverty and economic, insecurity. So really, if economic insecurity didn't exist, then food insecurity wouldn't exist, and exercise apartheid wouldn't exist. And those black women and children that I was researching 15 years ago that didn't have the park to play in, that park would exist if we actually really if we did better social redevelopment. So yeah.
Gosh,
Wow.
wow. Hey,
Yeah.
got me. You shut me up.
It was the London
Yeah, that part.
comment that you made, and you said about how when you got there, like it just, it gave you nirvana.
It did.
Was it the food, the air quality? I mean, there's foods that we get here in the U.S. that are banned in other countries,
Yeah.
and I'm talking junk food. Like
Yeah.
you can have cereal that they say, hey, this has all this red number 40,
color
yellow
dyes,
number, whatever, and they're putting natural foods in their children's cereal. So tell us about that, and tell us, was that the quality of the people, the place, the environment, all of those things?
Yeah, it's a couple of things. I mean, the first was I was just walking down the street one day, and the one thing about London is that when you get to spend time there, you see that, of course, Philadelphia is a great example, like the cobblestone walkways and the way that the town is built. It is a replica of London, right? Because we left the UK to start our own country, right?
Right.
So when you're walking around London, you're like, oh, that's where we got this idea for Philadelphia and for New York, and so there's this like deeper temperance when you really start to walk around. You're like, okay, so my Americanism is tied to this in this deeper way. So there's that piece of it. That's one. But two, what really got me when I was in London was, and it was such a shock to my system, was I was sitting down, and this is part of the beauty of doing a Fulbright, is because you learn, you have conversation. You're supposed to challenge yourself to have conversations you wouldn't ordinarily have. So I would sit down with folks, and they would talk about, and this was during the first Trump administration, so which was fascinating. But as a Black woman whose research circulated around intersectionality, racism, and feminism and stuff, I was always ready to talk about racism. I was like, yeah, like racism is the cause of everything. And in London, they'd be like, no, racism isn't the issue. It's classism.
That's
Yeah.
let me give you one. That's right. That part. Yeah.
And it wasn't that they were trying to dismiss my experience as being subjugated by race. They were just like, no, listen, right? Listen, that the issue is around class and finance. And they're like, you Americans, you really do keep tying it to race. But if we really think about it in this way, then this is how you can restructure and really think about the economic issue, right? And so I think that my brain started like really doing some different types of gymnastics. And I was like, yo, like, they're right.
Things that make you go, Yeah.
So it was those enlightening moments that got me like, I got to get myself out of this institution, because it's got me boxed in a way that, yeah, I can't make changes that I want as a professor, but also I can't even, my brain isn't liberated, my spirit isn't liberated, right? And that's the first way that we can liberate anyone, is ourselves. So I needed to leave, like I needed to get out. Yeah.
Since we're talking about interesting. I mean, you said a lot, and it's so layered, right? And it makes me think about the conversations that's happening now as it relates to this discourse of wokeism, right? And as you mentioned health equity, right, and targeting those vulnerable populations to pretty much give them access, right? I think of the challenge of those particular communities going through now with this idea of the push against wokeism, air quotes, right? And so the narrative now, it appears that DEI means black. So that is a racism component, or that's a situation now that's being discussed, that you say DEI, you're saying black, right? So that as context, right? What do you think people in the UK would say about something like that, as opposed to classism versus racism? If that makes sense, if that question makes sense, yeah.
Well, I'll say the first thing is that when I did my Fulbright, it was during the first Trump administration, and I had such interesting experiences. The first was that during that time, the stereotype of Americans, or what I experienced as the stereotype towards myself as American, was that I was stupid.
What?
And I had many folks say to me, they'd say, I thought that you were dumb until you started speaking because you were American. And the reason why I say this is that it's really important that when it comes to international relations, that how we represent ourselves as a country impacts how every single American is viewed. And so I would sit down and I'd have different, and they'd be like, and after the meeting, they'd come to me and be like, I really thought when they said, hey, there's American coming to meet with us. Hey, I thought that you were stupid until you started talking. Then I realized, all right, she's not stupid.
Wow, that's crazy.
So that's the first thing. I think that I can't speak for a country, but I think that the idea of the representation that we have on the global scale is that, aside from DEI anything, it is the IQ of Americans might not be as high because of the current representation of our administration.
The perception
of our administration, right? So I think that's the first thing, and that just comes off of my experience in the first administration. That's one. But the second is, I think that there's a lot of nuance to this stereotype of DEI right now, right? Yeah. That it not only is it about DEI meaning black, but I think also this idea of DEI means a handout. Yeah. And that's right. So it can be that way, it can be race-based narrative, but it could also be, well, if you fall under the catchment of DEI, that means somehow that you've gotten some type of handout to where you are, and whether that's around disability, sexual orientation, race, anything. And it doesn't allow, which this is what any stereotype does. Any stereotype does this. Yeah. It doesn't allow us to live in the nuance of what that part, of what it means, what it represents, and the actions that it permits, right? So, yeah.
Interesting. Or they felt that outside of the handout is now I'm being marginalized because of this DEI piece. It's kind of like this reverse kind of idea that I'm being marginalized because of what they're giving to you that I don't have per se, which is completely not the idea what DEI is. But that said, when did you have something to say? Because I was going through down this rabbit hole because I didn't anticipate this. I was just so like, poof.
I was actually going to speak towards just your comment that a lot of people, celebrities, within different sectors of healthcare and politics, people are no longer wanting to be recognized for their skin color or for their gender. They're saying like their talent, they're saying it was once that because of the oppression that we were like, hey, I'm the first black woman, I'm the first this, I'm the first. They're like, I deserve this. I've worked hard for this. You're not giving me anything because of the skin, the color of my skin and my gender. I earned this with all the other candidates, and I was the best out of that candidate, or I was amongst my peers. Is why I'm able to get what I'm, rewarded. So I am starting to see a lot of people who are not wanting to just be recognized because of them feeling as though it's like, being ostracized from what they feel as though they belong. Does that make sense? And I'm starting to see a decline in that, to say, hey, no, I don't want to be the first Black woman. I want to be the woman who earned this, or just because I earned it. You know?
So the 12-year-old Dr. Carter, right? Did she have this in mind when you were young and looking at your parents, or when we talk about just, being, it appears civically engaged, or, as an activist or someone who's progressive? I mean, who was the little Dr. Carter,
That's a great question. So the first thing is that I actually thought I was going to be a forensic psychologist. So my master's degree is in psychology with a concentration in forensic psychology.
Shout out to women in STEM. Because you said that, I just want to park there real quick. I got to shout out STEM, right? Women in STEM. We know a good friend of ours is women's in forensics, right? She does forensic science. So I just wanted to shout her out. Shout out to women. Go ahead.
And to make a very long story short, I ended up getting my PhD in kinesiology from Temple University.
Shout out to Temple, the alma mater. There you go. Shout out to Tease You.
So you talk about STEM, right? So forensics and STEM. So, but, so a couple of things here.
Yeah.
The first is that, me and my sisters, we got to give so much to my father, who.
Shout out to Dad. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah. So my dad, they were teaching whatever they were teaching to us in school, and then we had a second school with my dad after school, right? And so he was the one that he had us reading physics books when we were like 7 and stuff. Like, he was the one that always told me that you have to be 3 times as good as any person. And kind of getting to your point too, of like, for me, it's like, I've always been the first in anything. I've always been the first of a lot of things in my life, but my dad had taught me to always be the best of everyone.
That's right.
So not just the best Black woman, the best Black person, but be the best of every damn body.
That's
like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like,
Best in class. Yeah.
and so here's an example. When I was around like 11 or 12 years old, I was in a Catholic grammar school. And I remember we would go to Mass every Sunday. And the altar servers, the altar boys, were young white boys that would help the priest. And I said to my mom, I was like, why are there no girls? There weren't white girls, there weren't Black girls, there were just no girls. And my mom was like, well, ask them. And so after
I like that answer.
so after church one day, I went up to the priest and I was like, hey, I want to be an altar girl. I want to be. And the priest was like, well, we've never had altar girls. And I was like, well, I want to be an altar girl. So they changed the rules.
Oh, that's cool.
So I became the first altar girl. Now, granted, I was the little Black girl altar girl. But I was just like, I just want to be an altar girl. Like, And so for me, I don't think of myself in terms of activism, activist, or anything. I just be doing stuff. Like, I just feel like I just be doing stuff. I'm like, yo, I just want to be an altar girl. Or I'm just like, yeah, we need to help feed these people over here. So we're going to start this grassroots thing. We're going to get the money and we're going to do it. Someone actually said to me about a year ago, a friend of mine, he was like, I think maybe he used the word activist or something. And I was like, I don't consider me starting coalition and stuff as activism. And he was like, yes, you are. And I'm like, I did.
Doing.
Yeah, I did what needed to be done.
I'm just doing. I'm doing me.
Just doing it. Yeah, you know what I mean? I know that people see me as that, and people tell. But in my mind, I'm just like, look, there's a problem. There needs to be a solution.
That's right.
So, so the 12-year-old little girl, 12-year-old, I wanted to be a lawyer, but by high school, I wanted to do forensic psychology, and I had become obsessed with the psychology of criminal behavior, and yeah. So, but I was also an athlete, so I made some changes once I got into my master's degree. But I always wanted to. I knew that I always wanted to be something of excellence. I'll put it that way.
Wow.
So yeah.
Interesting. So, fast forward, CFHE created Ujama Cafe and a Ujama Wellness Program. Let's talk a little bit about that, you know, and what incited you to do that, you know, and what is it all about?
Yeah. So when I found a coalition, again, it was, you know, our largest program was called the Hunger Project, and I promise you I'm gonna get to a point here. Our largest program was called the Hunger Project, medically tailored meals to deliver anywhere someone was in need. We would do about 6 to 8 meals a week, procure them from local restaurants. We pay those restaurants. And then through a partnership that we still have with DoorDash, we deliver them to anywhere. So if somebody's address is a park bench, we deliver to that park bench. We deliver into senior housing. We deliver to persons in shelter. If somebody says, hey, I'm couch surfing, we'll follow them to every couch that they're surfing on. And that's one of our programs. That we still have, and we've retitled it Rapid Response, but that's one of the things that we're known for is that wherever you need food, we're going to get that food to you, right? Now, one day, we've delivered over, well, now close to about 400,000 meals and produce boxes.
And all this is free.
All this is free.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's
Nutritional foods.
nutritional food and also produce boxes now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we have a great aggregator and local farmers, primarily
Local farmers,
primarily all farmers of color throughout New Jersey that we partner with. And but one thing that I was questioning with our Hunger Project program and a Rapid Response program is that we're getting food out to people. And they're in this free subscription service. And the important part about that is that you enroll into this program. We're learning a lot about you, your nutritional needs, your allergens. If you are pre-diabetic, we make sure that those meals don't have white rice in them. It should be substituted with something like quinoa or something like that, right? But in any case, we're delivering to you weekly. And I began asking myself about 3 years in, or so, 2-3 years in, as we get to the end of the week with our clients, let's just say their meals run out or something. What is happening between, let's say, Friday till Monday, right? How are we standing in the gap there? And what do we need to do? So I began asking myself, like, what can happen? So to make a very long story short, I wanted to create some type of tool where somebody could go and get food, no questions asked. Go get the same type of meals that they're getting delivered to their home, and maybe some snacks or juices. No questions asked, completely de-surveilled, but like it'd be on their block, right? Like or like kind of like feel like a cafe or like a bodega or something. So the Ujama Cafe was born after a lot of iterations and talking with people. Initially, the Ujama Cafe idea was intended to be an actual walk-in cafe, to be completely free. But then it kind of got pared down to being these like a mobile refrigerator vendor type of technology that we can place into places.
I like it, yeah.
And so we have these refrigerators that are completely tech enabled that we place in community agencies. We have one in a pantry. We have 2 in schools in New Jersey and Newark, Pride centers, all these different places where folks can go in. The food is procured from local businesses. We have things like healthy burritos and parfaits, salads, all these different things. And then you can go in, you can take what you want, no questions asked, and go about your day. Yeah, and due to the technology, there's sensors inside of the refrigerator, and there's RFID tags on the items. And what that allows us to do is to see the free transactions that happen with the products. Now, the reason why that's important is because we're able to curate per location that refrigerator. So, for example, the refrigerator in Patterson, in the food pantry in Patterson, we know that refrigerator, they really love parfaits and sandwiches versus the refrigerator in our drop-in homeless facility in Newark. They're more sandwiches, grab-and-go sandwiches, right? So we're not just throwing food at people and saying, just take it because it's free. Based off of what you take and how you like it and the frequency in which you like it, that's where the forensics background comes in. We really create a profile and a personality around those sites, and then we restock based on their eating habits, so that way they're getting what they want, they're getting healthier food.
It sounds like
No
it's
questions
the
asked.
data measures the metrics. So you're doing the data to say, hey, these are the metrics for this location on what they're
Exactly.
pulling out and what we can
Exactly.
put in. I wanted to ask you mentioned the Trump administration. I think I have a two-part question. One is RFK, who just got nominated in regards to his stance of vaccination was, there, and then it wasn't. Like, I think he wanted to appease the people. What's your take on vaccinations and also the tariffs? Now that the Trump administration has done the tariffs and a lot of those fruits and vegetables from Mexico and everything like that are not coming in, it's going to make the U.S. farmer now bulk their stuff up for us. Is that something good that we need to look forward to or not? What are your thoughts?
And I love my avocados, so I don't. I'm just saying.
So on the topic of vaccinations, my stance is that people have to be armed with as much information as possible to make the decisions that they need, right? Like that's what I think. Like if you don't want to take a COVID vaccine, right? We are fortunate to live in a democratic society where you can say, hey, I don't want to. What's most important is that the American people have the information that they need in order to make that decision. Now, when it comes to children, that's a whole other ballgame, right? Like, vaccinations for children is vaccinations for children. But we have to create the conditions where people have the information that they need in order to make the right decisions, in order for us to have a healthy American population, So that's my thing on that. Now, so let's talk about tariffs. So when it comes to the U.S. agricultural system, and I have very strong opinions about this, right? Because we live in a global economy, a global agricultural system, and so there's many agricultural products that we don't produce, that we require, that we import in from other countries, and that just based on our climate.
Like soursop.
Like we just can't produce that, and so with tariffs that's going to increase the cost of food, which then will create greater food insecurity, because like if we think about like how much someone might get in their SNAP benefits, then the SNAP benefit is not going to increase, right? If someone only gets $100 in their SNAP, but the cost for eggs is going up, the cost for avocados going up, the cost for this is going up, then their SNAP benefit is not going to last, right? It's going to actually shorten, and that's going to create greater food insecurity, right?
Wow.
So that's one issue, right? But then the second is that we already have major issues here within the U.S. when it comes around agricultural logistics and things that our farmers really need. Like our farmers really need support in helping to move their food and their product, right? So creating greater challenges on that doesn't help our food system. It actually hinders it and will create greater expense onto the U.S. consumer that the U.S. consumer doesn't have the money to bear, right? So what we have to think about is how do we more efficiently put money into the agricultural system to help balance out an imbalanced agricultural system, not create more barriers and burden on it.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, that causes other issues. Like we talk about health equity now, the good foods potentially that we would have got that doesn't come from us, we can't get anymore. Now we're worried about our health. It's just issue after issue after issue. Yeah, no doubt. Interesting.
And something else that I do want to add in here that I was talking to a friend of mine who's even more deeply in the agricultural system than I am, because what we do is we procure from farmers, right? So we're a buyer from a farmer. That's what Coalition does. So we're constantly, for me, I'm always looking at how can I bring somebody more into our economic ecosystem. So what's this small farmer has mushrooms. How can we purchase more mushrooms, right? How can, and there's people who are aggregators that are really good at, they're basically like the central marketplace, right? So I was just talking with someone and we were just talking about like what more is happening. And we're talking about how one thing that isn't talked about enough is how private corporations are trying to purchase farmer land, right? So when you see what's happening now in the current system of, tariffs and all these other things, what might happen is that a farmer who's already overburdened, right, can't produce.
That's right.
Is already having logistical challenges, waiting for his contract money to come in, might be close to bankruptcy. You have private corporations who are waiting for that land to go into bankruptcy to buy it at a lower amount, right? So we'll begin to see generational farmland being purchased, right? Which then takes people out of that market to be a farmland owner, right? It's going to get sold to like the Amazons of the world and stuff like that. And that creates a whole other issue around land preservation and climate resilience and things like that. Those are the things that we really should be thinking about as an American people, right? Is how farmland is being purchased up and how it's not being preserved and all these other
Yeah,
things.
it's generational legacy too. Yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately, a lot of the small businesses in generational legacy has been taken based on that.
That's right.
Because the big MCOs are buying out the mom and pop stores that were once 3 and 4 generations long, and now they're faced with all those type of hardships that they can't do it, and then here comes the Walmarts, Targets, and those big companies. Can you share a moment that reaffirmed your decision to focus on Black women, health, and community wellness?
And lead the guys out. No, I'm not sure.
And even though the comment I made earlier was more so that when the DEI, that was for that. But as a woman and as a Black woman, I understand the oppression that I've even had in my own experience with different jobs and different places and events that I've attended. So I know that representation of who I need to stand and trailblaze like you did with, as an altar girl.
Round of applause.
Yeah. So I know. So I just want to make sure that whoever's listening knows that, how to decipher the two on that comment. But it's definitely important that we stand and, and be very affirmed on what we feel as though as a Black woman in our community, because as we all know, Black women go to the hospital and they're in pain. You have the Helen, what's her name from the DNA, that they took all of her cells, and you're saying you're in pain, and the medical people aren't believing us because of either the high intensity of pain.
Go with it.
So tell us what affirmed that for you.
This is a 2-part answer. I want to first address your comment about what about the guy. But I want to. Just let me go there real quick.
I got you.
But
I love you regardless. I'm just saying.
I feel it.
Yeah,
I feel
no
it
doubt.
though. But research shows us that when a Black woman is healthy, when a Black woman is engaging in healthful behaviors, when a Black woman is in the whole family, when a Black woman says, "Hey, we're going to start eating apples once a day," a Black woman says, "Hey, we're going to try this family initiative, 5,000 steps a day." The whole family starts to change.
Let her cook.
Let
her cook.
That includes dad.
That's right.
That includes the kids.
You just dropped
Which
the
is
mic.
why part of my research, I'll send you an article.
Okay, I'll be waiting for it.
Part of my research centered on mom, because we know that if we get mom to say, "Hey, I'm going to start doing self-care," dad will start doing self-care. The kids will start learning self-care practices. Now, why that doesn't happen with dad, I don't know. You should get some of your black male friends to do that music.
Look, you know how guys are. We be like, something hurt. We'll grind through it. No, but,
It's because the woman is the
But women do that too, though. Black women do that too. They self-sacrifice. So that's why that's why the work is like, well, and then they teach their daughters to self-sacrifice. They teach their sons to self-sacrifice. So for whatever reason, when black women shift that, everybody starts to shift it too, right? Versus if dad shifts it, for some reason it doesn't create the family dynamic cultural shift. So that there you go for that one. And I was told I got an answer for everything. So can I share a moment that reaffirmed myself as a black woman? And like the decision I made, with the other part, like the decision I made to like leave. I'm gonna say every day when I get up, and I do not have to answer to anybody but myself.
No, that's right.
And you know, academia is not. It wasn't a loving place for me. It wasn't a loving place for a black woman. I have multiple stories where people questioned me. People tried to dehumanize me. People did not see me as the magical, powerful woman I was. Actually, let me give.
Where they at? I gotta pop the trunk. Where they at?
There was times where instead of people embracing me, embracing my work, they felt threatened by me. When I decided to leave academia for good, I remember one time I was in an interview with some government officials from the state and media. We were just doing a co-interview, and the government officials from the state, they were like, this is Dr. Carter. She's a Fulbright. She's a doctor. They were just so happy that there's this person that's leading this organization. And I just remember thinking, like, wow, I've never had this reception from my colleagues in academia, right? But here are government officials that just are like, wow, we're so glad that this person has decided to do community work and to just be committed to it. And so being seen and respected and understood in that way, and not, this isn't competition, we're just all in this together trying to do our part. So maybe that's an example, but every day being able to get up, not having anybody trying to control my time, trying to control or rewrite how I see the world and how I think good things can be done, and just being able to really create my own lane and what I think good love work looks like, and that might not be in somebody's textbook though, right? Because that's the other thing with academia, is like, what's the theory behind this? And I'm like, there is none, right? Like there's no theory. We're going to just try to do something good today. And if there's one client that emails us and just says thank you, look, we're good. Hypothesis proven. That's it, Right. So yeah.
Interesting.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. So, well, we see you.
Thank you.
We recognize you. We want to amplify your work and you being amazing. I do have a question though, right? What would be first? What would be what's the legacy that you want to leave?
That's a good question. I think that my legacy or a legacy or would just be, people look at what I do and they see God in it. They look at me every day and they look at me and they say, hey, God has his hand on her. He has his hand on the work that's being done, and that's it. Yeah.
Amen. I mean, all right. Well, since you have an answer for everything, I want you to dig a little deep. Right? I want you to dig a little deep. Right?
This is exclusive.
Blow the whistle. Hold on, Eagles.
Oh, most definitely.
Give you a round of
Now,
applause for that. I should have asked that first.
The Super Bowl was on my birthday. Was on February 9th.
Happy belated.
Shout out to Saquon. Shout out to Cooper DeJean,
Okay,
because
there
we
you go.
all have the same birthday.
There you go.
Okay, Aquarius is in the house.
Yes, amen.
No doubt. So, if I was to ask you, what's the one thing that no one else knows about Dr. Carter? What would that be? Dig deep.
I wouldn't share that.
Well, you on We Talk Weekly. You gotta dig deep. We need the exclusive. Come on, Cletus. Come on, Cletus.
That's a good question. I don't know if I got a lot of layers. So
All right.
that's
we got
not.
time. We got time.
That might be something we have to come back to for me to think about. What is it that I want to share?
So that's an
Somebody don't
invite-
have an answer.
Or,
Somebody don't have an answer.
and it's an invite to come back on the show. But I do have a question before we let you go. Okay, so for a man, what are the top 3 things?
No one cares about us.
The top 3 things that a man can do to stay healthy, and then the top 3 for a woman.
Oh, that's a great question. So I think the first and foremost is therapy.
Oh yeah, we need that.
Yeah.
We definitely need.
You know, there's always all good things to with talking with someone and having someone that is focused on your mental health and this is outside of your pastor and friends. This is an actual licensed mental health provider being able to help you really unpack and dig into all those areas of emotional and psychological care. The second thing is movement. Movement is great for everything and everyone. And so I think that, and particularly for Black people, so we have to be more active and more, engaged in that physical movement. And I think the third one, I'm just going to do a wild card because I could say anything. I could say eating well. I could say all these things. But I think that for Black men, things like laughter and play and just like
Jovialness.
Like let's relax the shoulders, not take ourselves so seriously. And I find myself saying this to my friends that are men. It's like, just laugh and just loosen up, and because the world has them contained, and I think laughter is such a decontaining tool. So
I like it. Yeah.
I would say those 3 things. I think for women, again, number 1, therapy. Number 1 is that's important. I think number 2, I think those intersections of eating well, understanding the genetic factors to our health, right? And when we look at Black women, we have those higher risks around cancer and high blood pressure and things like that. And so really digging into those genetic factors and understanding your family history and those things, and then really talking to your doctor about them and being preventative, right?
And I like that you said that because it's like the womb is where you house the generations. And if the womb has a lot of stress or other type of free radicals that are going on that are negative, that child is going to come out in that DNA with all of that. So I like that one. Yeah.
And it's, doing some genetic counseling and and I definitely understand that thinking about those things could be very scary and very, but it also could be very freeing and very empowering to know, and then to really wrap your hands around, okay, I'm beginning to eat this way or engage in this movement or do these particular things as prevention, right? Which will help and extend your life, will help you live stronger and longer, right? And I think the third thing is rest, There just rest.
What's that? What's that?
And actually, this gets to hey, I have the answer to your question.
Hey, there it is. So you didn't stomp her.
I had the answer to your question. The third thing. This is something people don't know about me. Oh my God, I don't want to share it because it's such a good secret. It's such a juicy secret. So. So people don't know that I sleep in well. Like I sleep in well. I also rest. I'm a good rester. And the perception that people have of me is that like I'm combat rolling out my bed at 5 a.m. I'm just work. That's just not true. I promise it's not true. I'll be in my bed till about 8, 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? I'm on TikTok. I'm a very leisurely move person, you know? I might like answer an email from my phone at night. Like I'm just like I don't really start until like maybe like 10 or 11. And that has allowed me to
Give more.
Yes,
absolutely.
Because I hold so much. I hold so much. And it was maybe about 4 years ago where I really started to be a congregant of the NAP ministry, like a true congregant.
The NAP ministry.
Yes. Because and notice I didn't say read it. I am a member of the congregation, and in being a member, I mean like I will just get a blanket, wrap myself up, and go to sleep in the middle of the day, and like emails and stuff. And I'll just be like, and then
Can I church get an amen? I do that. I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So that third one of rest for women and really releasing themselves and giving themselves permission to rest radically and unapologetically in all the ways that looks, and just leaving it to everybody else to get up in there, like remove whatever feelings other people have about a Black woman resting. They can have them feelings, but we can rest, and I'm a rest. So yeah.
I like it.
All right, there you go. Let's give her a round of applause. Dr. Leisha Carter. You know, one thing we always say on the show is once you come to the show, you're a friend to the show, so you're always welcome to come back. I wish that program was actually in Philadelphia. We could use a program like that.
So we do have a Ujamaa at the Penn Aberson Cancer Center.
Okay.
So it's tailored for the cancer patients, and it's in the infusion center. We're actually restructuring it a little bit, like literally right now as I speak, and we're making it into a food pharmacy for the cancer patients. So that way the food in that fridge is a little bit more medically tailored for the cancer patients. We have a very close relationship with the Aberson Cancer Center in Philly and in South Jersey. So one of our produce programs is free produce for low-income cancer patients through the Aberson Cancer Center as well.
I love that. Yeah, we'll have to stay in touch. We definitely have to stay in touch. Interesting. How can I get in contact with you and find out all that good old stuff? Yeah.
So you can always visit our website, www.coalitionequity.org. You can always reach out to us on Instagram and Facebook at Coalition Equity. Yeah, and then you can always, give me a shout at Dr. Leisha on Instagram. If you just want to show me some love, show us some love. Yeah.
No doubt. Awesome. And God, ladies and gentlemen, I don't want you guys to go anywhere. That was Dr. Leisha Carter. Give her another round of applause over here. Yes. Super excited to have her. Next up, we got a J. Alexander Martin that's coming on. Told you, FUBU. We're going to talk a little bit about FUBU. But I'm your boy, Charles Gregg, with the beautiful.
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And the beautiful.
Lady S. Dot.
And the beautiful.
Doctor.
Oh,
she ain't had nothing to say.
I didn't know I was up. Dr. Leisha Carter.
There you go. Yeah. So I don't want you guys to go anywhere, y'all. We'll be right back after this. We're going right to one of Spark's favorite clips. We'll be back, y'all.
We just want to get a little background as to who the Fantastic Noise is and the noisemakers, if you can let us know.
Yes, absolutely. So once again, I am Fantastic Noise. I am the original noisemaker, so no one's going to make as much noise as me, okay? And right here we have the Noisemaker Band. This is only half of it. The other stuffs are upstairs. My Kevin Lamar, Lonnie, and Dobbs, who are the actual band members. These are the background singers. And we came to make some noise. We came to bring that noise today. That's what we try to do. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And how did you guys get together?
Oh man, so it started with, I've been doing this on my own for almost 3 years now. And man, I guess each of these people here have different backgrounds. background stories. Most of us went to the same church together, and we just kept going. This one, her, this is one of my assistants here. One of like my biggest supporter, my biggest shooter here. She's an assistant. So we just been building, and the same thing with upstairs with the band. Just meeting through people, kept networking, kept seeing, and it was just like God ordained. Bam, here we are.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, could you guys do We Talk Weekly a favor?
Yes.
Can you give us a drop in a melody type way?
Oh, a melody type way?
Yes.
Okay. So we talk weekly?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to do something like this. We talk weekly, come and hear us. We talk weekly, come and hear them. 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 We talk weekly, come and hear them.
Okay, get beautified because y'all already gorgeous.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, y'all.
I
We
don't
talking.
like that.
I know you don't like that.
I said, go get beautified because you're already gorgeous. Bars.
Bars.
That was
That's
hot.
No doubt. We talk weeklies after the talk on WPPM Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We talk weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory, the beautiful.
Classy Lady Sparkle.
And you already know who do we have today?
Oh, we just had an amazing interview, and now we have another one. Today we have J. Alexander Martin. He's founder of FUBU and CEO of For Us, By Us Network Studios and Music Group. It's a Navy veteran, author, and business coach. He has a lot of hats he wears. He built a $1 billion brand and is launching new projects in 2025, including the For Us, By Us Network app and a film studio. Y'all already know what to do. Let's give a warm We Talk Weekly welcome to J. Alexander Martin.
Oh man, I was excited about this. How are you, my friend? How are you?
Hey, how's it going? How's it going, guys?
Oh,
Hello.
fantastic. Yes.
How are you today, sir?
Oh, I'm good. Good evening.
This is an awesome interview. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, not a problem. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so earlier in today, I don't know if you watched our show, but Charles had made a comment about For Us, By Us, and how you all got your name, and LL was included in that. So you tell us from your mouth of the CEO, how did you gain and founder of FUBU?
All right. So, again, everybody knows a guy named Damon John. We have to give him the credit for the name. I was coming home from a Desert Storm, Desert Shield in the military. I got out on a medical discharge. Got a bunch of money in my hand, and I wanted to get in fashion. I was working for Macy's, and so a deal happened, not to really get too much into it, and I wound up quitting. Damon was making had made a hat, and he kind of stopped selling it. He was selling it, and he had a label on it, and it was a name called FUBU. So he had stopped. He made a couple of hats, stopped. Made a couple of hats, stopped. And I saw it coming home because he was a child friend that came home and saw it on his kitchen table. And I said, "Hey, what's this?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a hat. I sold a couple and whatever." I was like, "Yeah, but what's FUBU mean?" He's like, "FUBU means For Us, By Us. We needed something that was for us, that was kind of by us." And I was like, "Yo, that's amazing." And I said, "I'm going to FIT. I got some money. Let me turn this into a clothing line." And 1992, 30-something years later, $6 billion in sales.
Six. You
Say
said
that
6 billion?
Yeah, I was gonna say that number again.
Yeah, six billion in sales. We a couple of years ago, we pretty much tallied it. We became a tally of all the years of what we've done and all the sales, and it came about to that.
And how did you redefine urban fashion and that culture? Like I know that you just gave that story, but like I said, C had made a comment about LL Cool J. Can you tell us how that got involved? Because FUBU is my generation, and it was powerful movement.
Well, LL's a childhood friend. Damon and the guys used to go on tour and kind of travel around him like a roadie. I had a different experience with LL. My childhood friend brother was his best friend. So LL was rapping, prior to he was in a group with two other gentlemen. I was in a group with two other gentlemen. And LL used to kind of come over and, we see him as an older guy and hey, he was rapping and actually he was really good. I wasn't so good, but had potential, let's just say. And he would kind of say, hey, say it like this, say it like that. You got to flow a little bit. So he'd help out here and there. Years later, of course, my rap career didn't go off. But my fashion career went off, right? So we approached him and said, hey, listen, you're doing big things. Hey, could you just wear this in the ad? And he said yes. But then when we tried to track him down to actually do it, it was like, oh, man, do I really have to do this? But he chose to do it anyway. And from then on, he was helping us from there on. And he gave us a promise. We gave him a promise. And he was, if we be successful, we become successful, we'll take care of them. And we did exactly that.
Interesting. Nice.
Fantastic. So
they say that, they say that black people don't help each other and all that, especially in, bigger situations than others. But he actually came, and helped. And, he didn't need to help us. And he did. He had bigger offers and bigger fish on the table. But he decided to deal with people like myself from around the way. And, we both became successful, which is great.
Yeah, I want to know how you guys, and this is a personal question to you, right? The culture, the culture of fashion has changed so much, but that's fashion, right? Fashion change, it goes in and out. It's a little different now, right? I have to give you guys the flowers, excuse me. I have to give you guys flowers because y'all was part of, I call it the golden age of like just urban fashion. Y'all was part of that, the Carl Kanaz, the Fubu's, everyone that was in that kind of genre, the hip hop era. I think when we talk hip hop, we don't talk the fashion as we should. I think that needs to be. Go ahead. Yep.
To jump in real quick, and I'm not totally sure where you're going with this, but I want to say this before it even starts, is that it's called the fashion business. Mm-hmm. And the problem with today is people just look at the fashion. Right, and they don't understand the business.
Right. 100%. I 100% agree to that. That said, right, where do you think, and like I said, because I want to get an opportunity to give you guys the flowers, right, when we talk about just fashion and legacy of fashion, legacy of hip-hop culture. And again, we just recently, I guess last year, 50 years of fashion. 50 years of hip hop, yes. Right?
Yes.
And you guys are right there also in terms of, that hip hop, fashion. You know what I'm saying? And so I do want to give you your flowers for that, because I think you guys deserve that. And so when we talk about fashion, right, how do you see fashion now as opposed to how it was then in the culture of hip hop? Do you understand that question?
Yeah. Listen, the culture drives you, the culture moves you, the culture gives you the trends, the culture gives you the ideas, the culture moves even what it looks like, the colors, the styling, everything. So without that, you have nothing. I think what happening now more so is the culture has been taken over by social media. And social media is an instant gratification. It's an instant, I'm going to make some money, and it's not really people who are. It's not 100% of predominantly were people that are really in the business or of the business. They may be about business because they're just trying to make money, but I've gone to school for this stuff. I've studied it. I read about it. I have the magazines like from DNR, WWD, things like that. Like I am of the business. I am the business. Yeah. And what happens is, again, today it's like all about just grab something from Alibaba, put something on it, and then sell it. And it's not really about really understanding the business of it. Like it's almost like right now, I always say this and people look at me and go and laugh, but it's almost like they got the answer to the test, but they can't prove their work.
Yeah, yeah.
So the culture is what drives it. The culture was, but they're not even looking at the culture. They're just looking at, look, if I see somebody else do it, I'm going to do it. If somebody says hammers are selling, I'm going to do that exact same thing. Yeah. So, but then there are a subset of people that are actually still going to school, still learning going through the process, still working. But, it's limited. It's limited on how much recognition that they'll get.
So you mentioned places like Alibaba, right? And that brings up, for me, the conversation around sustainability and fast fashion, right? Because that's one of the biggest in industry. I'm an image consultant and wardrobe stylist, right? And so I've been in the industry just as long as maybe about 20 years, and I see how fashion kind of goes in and out, and it changes and pivots, and it does this thing. I haven't seen anything like it is today, right? In terms of how social media push the idea of what fashion is, what some don't even have a clue, but think they have a clue what fashion is. And that has a lot to do with social media, right? But when we talk sustainability and we talk about fast fashion, I would love to know your thoughts on that. Is one better than the other? Is there room for places like you mentioned Alibaba, but now we had the Fashion Novas and the Sheins, right? Skims, and which I won't put that in fast fashion, but we have these offshoots of new microwave stylish kind of like quick designs, right? Versus the master tailoring. What's your thoughts on all of that? You are directly in that infrastructure, so I think it would be good to hear your thoughts.
Well, my perspective is this. Again, fashion is fashion. Regardless of what it is, regardless of how you make it, or regardless of what comes out, it's still something that someone could wear, and it's still how you interpret it as far as how you style it. Somebody could wear a sweater and it could look totally different from how somebody else is wearing a sweater, and they could be wearing the same sweater.
That's right.
So that's not a problem. Fashion is always going to, either trickle up or trickle down. Most times for me, I think it trickles up. It comes from the street. It comes from us. But it comes from we're talking about my type of fashion. Yeah. Now, there's always that European, because I used to go overseas all the time and go over to Europe and Asia and Germany and Dubai and all these places and see what people are wearing, see what the fashion is, to get it first, and then interpret that, come back home and interpret that. So that's always going to happen too. So all these stores are doing is taking that, making it faster, and putting it in the stores quicker before the actual bigger brands can do it. So that's the actual real meaning of it. But as time goes past, if you tell somebody one thing, after 300 people hear it, it's not going to be the same thing.
That's right.
So again, I go back to the fashion business, and I go back to, and I take it all the way back to the magic shows, and when it was tons of us, with millions of dollar boots, and we pretty much took over the fashion business, of that. And then I go backwards. Before that, you have your Karl Kani's and Cross Colors that was selling more clothes than anybody at the time, and then we can go beyond before that, where someone was knocking off, the Gucci's, and creating, as a tailor, creating other things. So that separated fashion. If we go back to that, fashion from there was, we saw that, we can actually create our own thing. We don't have to go off and knock off anybody else's stuff, or we can create our own. And once we saw that, and I guess we got to look at the leader, who really showed us that hip hop fashion could be something, and or hip hop culture fashion could be something. And of course, that would be Karl Kani, through the birth of Cross Colors. And then, of course, there was tons and tons of other brands that came along with us. But again, I never say that we were the best brand, best looking brand, or the best, hottest fashion per se. But we were the best marketed. And then again, marketing is going to win every time.
I want to delve into that as a business mogul. And I know fashion is a business, but just for the business side of it, what strategies have helped you sustain the relevancy that you've had for these many years that you can share with us?
Well, I mean, one strategy that I always, live by is, it's the fact that I have more vision than goals. Another fact would be that I necessarily don't follow what everyone does. I pretty much try to make my own route so then I can never be wrong because no one else has done it. And like I said, the thing about marketing is you really have to really, really, really pay attention to your customer. You have to understand the psychographics. You have to understand the demographics of all that, of your customer, your consumer, and then know where the market is going, know where fashion is going, know when you could push a trend, know when you got to pull off a trend, never be too good at what you do. And I say that in fashion because you can turn around and think that this is the greatest shirt ever made, and you can go in back and forth in it and make 20 different colors, and then that stuff will be left in the warehouse. So it's a lot. I mean, listen, I could be all day giving you these situations.
What's interesting is you mentioned colors and you mentioned, the shirts, and as we are kind of coming out of the winter era, right? A lot of us wore sweaters, and that's a transition to understanding the connection that you guys had with Coogi. As you know, Biggie said it, black and ugly as ever. However, I stay Coogi there,
Yes,
and so
yes.
I would like to know what inspired that collaboration, and where are you guys with Coogi right now? I still have like some sweaters that's 20 years old, because of how dynamic and the materials that it was made out, the dynamic colors.
Well,
and
I'm gonna tell you
patterns.
something funny.
Yeah, for sure.
Back in the days, we used to go to Philly a lot, and you couldn't get a girl if you didn't have a Coogi sweater on.
Yeah. Yeah, and all the girls had on Moschino, right? It was funny. Yeah.
You couldn't get a girl. It just wasn't
It's one
happening.
of those things, no doubt.
I don't care
why
what
we
you had
used
on.
to-
You just had to have a Coogi sweater on.
You remember them days, Lady Esther?
I'm sorry, you talking to me?
Another I was actually married during them times, so I can't really say I don't remember them times, but I was asking Lady Esther.
I remember those times, but I feel like I was very young during those times.
Okay.
No doubt.
It was it was a lot of the older ones that was doing that stuff, wearing that stuff. I feel like I was in like elementary school or something when that was
Yeah,
happening.
that we had them as kids though. Everybody had going Coogi, the Coogi hats, the Scullies, and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, Mr. Martin, I just wanted to know, like, what inspired that collaboration, and what are you guys doing with that particular brand today?
We're still moving it.
Okay.
What we did over time is what people do today, and we've been doing it so long. And it's funny because we don't necessarily, to me, I don't feel like we ever get the credit for it. Not that I'm asking for it per se, but we don't get the credit for being first to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
We've done these collaborations. We've bought companies. We've owned about 5 or 6 easy, other brands. We've consulted other brands. We've done so much with when it comes to the fashion business, as far as being a business.
Yeah.
Because again, you can have a brand and it could be doing well, and it could all of a sudden, just like the bell curve, go up and go down.
right.
So you need some other brands that can help you. And then when you want to be when you're on the shelf, you want other brands that be around that can be around you to help push you up when you push down.
Yeah.
Or when it comes to finances, okay, so the budget, you have a budget, use another budget to push another brand, or vice versa, or however it works. So it really was a business move. Find the brands that people like, or find the brands that you may think that are falling and bring them back.
No, I love that. I love that. What collaborations or what are you guys doing now as it relates to the direction of Fubu?
Well, previously we had a company that because we licensed our company out for years, and just as of the contract was over, and instead of us renewing, we decided to take it back in house and basically start back with the original, four guys, and come back and put something out. So hopefully, if all works out right, barring anything going wrong, we should have some stuff out early spring, or summer/summer. But I mean, sort of to answer your question, how do I say this? Business is hard. This is not for the faint of heart. To be an entrepreneur is probably the hardest thing, probably one of the worst businesses or worst things you can choose to do. You're better off just getting a job sometimes. But when you're an entrepreneur, you're stuck in it, you're going to keep going. So like I said, business goes up, business goes down, and we're just here to try to figure it out. We've been in business so long, we know it like the back of our hand. But again, the customer has changed. We've gone from three, maybe almost 4 generations of people that we've been around, or that has touched or worn something from us. I mean, for God's sakes, we have scrubs now.
Wow.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
We've touched just about everything there is except furniture. But we're looking to get into hotels, and that may be happening soon, thanks to one of my partners, Carl Brown. Keith Parent, of course, he has the radio. Damon John, of course, is doing big business when it comes to Shark Tank. And, of course, myself, I have a ton of things going on.
Mm-hmm. Do you have comforter sets or?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have sheets and bedding. Yes, we have sheets and bedding as well.
Awesome.
Can you speak a little bit to your marketing strategy? I know you guys have been doing this for a long time. You seem to have a lot of great ideas, and I don't know if it's because you just have these ideas, or is it a lot of it come from your experience? But are you heavily involved in your marketing strategies, or do you have like a whole separate marketing team?
No, we so what happened for me is that, of course, we've had it in-house. Everything for us is always in-house. We never really have anybody outside of that. We'll have people come in and give us proposals and things like that. But they could get that feel of who we are, because who we are. For us, by us, Fubu is us. So we know we are the customer. So someone coming from somewhere else, they don't really know, because they're not the customer. They just analyzing what they think they see in the marketplace. So for years, we would tackle that, or go back and forth with people giving us things, but we would always just figure it out on our own. I think with marketing, we've been able to get big moments. And big moments just happen to us. Like, for instance, like with a rapper will just biggest rapper there at the time will just pick up and wear it and almost do a commercial for us. Now, we didn't give it to him; he just did it on his own. So a lot of times, I think the influence of what we've done and who we are for so long, as epic or iconic as it is, people just want to flourish to that, go to that. I thank it. I don't take it for granted. I appreciate all of that. Second is, what I've done is I have taken control of media in my own hands by creating the Forest Bias Network, Forest Bias Studios, Forest Bias Music Group. And with that, now I'd be able to market on my own. I've been able to, create a movie or create a series or create a reality show and put it on the people, or the people that star in it, and advertise, subliminally. So of course I put it in the right moments, right scenes, things like that. But I've been able to do that, or do commercials, because where now I don't have to go to the Facebooks and all that other stuff. And then I've built a large following, on Instagram and things like that. So I don't have to go to the blogs and pay them $20,000 to where years ago I would have to pay the magazines. Now I've created my own ecosystem to where our people follow, and I just farm it to them.
At this point, you could probably have your own magazine.
Yes, that too. But magazines is sort of a thing of the past, but
it is.
but there's a way to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. The digital magazines, but I think what you're doing is great, and I want to fast forward and talk a little bit more about kind of like your radio, television, and film. That genre or ecosystem that you're in right now, that you're building out. What is that like, and what are some of the projects that you're working on that to amplify those things? Yeah.
Well, okay, so I just came off a season of a show called, and again, don't shoot me, but again, you got to come where they come, and you got to do what they do, but you have to do it in your own way with your own spin. It's called Side Chicks of LA, which was a show. And it's funny because, I'll tell someone it's the Side Chick of LA and they'll go crazy. Oh my God. But I'll say, did you watch it? And they'll be like, no. But they'll already watch it first just to see. And when you see it, you're like, wait, it's not even what I thought it was. But it's still good, but it wasn't what I thought it was. So a lot of times, you, like I said, people love reality. And you got to do what you do, but it's not the type of reality where every 5 minutes somebody's fighting. Of course, there's a little cattiness. There was a little bit of fighting here and there because that's what people do. But it's not the as soon as it comes on, people are boxing and trying to kill each other.
The ratchetness
and the ratchet stuff. So listen, everyone has a little ratchet in them. Everybody got that aunt. Everybody. So I got to show that stuff. I have a movie coming out called The Biggest Boss. It's about Rick Ross and Freeway Ricky Ross, how Rick Ross got his name. It's the whole story. So that's coming out. Our app should be developed and done. Hopefully I should have that out by the late March.
Did you say Rick Ross or the real
Rick Ross? Yes.
And it's about what now?
It's about Rick Ross and Freeway Ricky Ross. So it's how Ricky Ross actually got his name.
Oh, wow. Nice. Because I know it was some controversy at one point with those two. And he's also in the cannabis business.
Yes.
Oh, that's going to be awesome. Yeah. I'm going to tune into that.
Yeah, so it'll be on the app. We'll launch that. I'm also doing the Hip Hop Business Awards in Memphis. The date is August 13th through the 17th. And we're basically showcasing, highlighting how some folks, icons in the business, taken the culture and moved it into other spaces, and actually has expanded hip hop throughout. One notable person is a guy named Don Poole, who owns more than a few restaurants. Now became a restaurateur. So if you can understand what I'm doing there.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's great.
Shout out to Freeway too. Freeway told a story. Philly Freeway.
Yes.
Right.
Told the story about how he actually reached out to Freeway, and was like, listen, I would love to. Do you mind if I utilize the name? And he was like, yeah, it's all good. That's how you supposed to do it though.
Right.
Reach out like, yo, I want to give you homage. Is it all right for me to, Rick Ross, that type of thing. And so, shout out to Freeway. Shout out to a lot of the things, all of the things that you're doing, man. It's just, it's a dog-eat-dog world out here, right? And so for you guys to continue to be as successful as you are and keep it going, I mean, it's hard out here.
Well, the key to staying is being vertical. And
that's
the
right.
second part of being vertical is it's just being persistent and keep. A lot of people, you start today and you end tomorrow, and a lot of people today are what they call solopreneurs. What I call solopreneur. You're never going anywhere if you're going to only stay and be a solopreneur, because again, you're the only employee, and you can't work like that. Like people don't know how to scale or know what it means to scale. You think you have, I'm doing business. You're not doing business. Like you're not, right? My brand. No, you don't have a brand. You just started.
Yeah, understanding that that's things that you have to develop. It takes a
Right.
little
It
minute.
takes, it takes a second. It takes years to develop
that's right.
a brand.
That's right. That's
Because
right.
there's things that happen for you to be a brand.
So you have done so much. What is it what's the legacy that you want to leave? Or
I don't stop. That word is an ending word, even though
Right.
I think it's a lifelong thing where you're just going, and I'll say legacy, but it's never stops.
Right.
Like I'm weird. I just don't stop. I just keep trying to move the needle, try to move the needle. Again, as I mentioned earlier about not having a goal, I'm more of a vision person. So the visions just keep going and going and going. The goal, you get to the goal. Oh, I did it. Now you got to stop and create another goal. I never get to that goal because I'm always going.
Got you. If you had, and fair enough, if you had someone who is looking at you, right, as a young man looking at you and saying like, wow, I would love to follow in the footsteps of Mr. Martin and his successes and building businesses, and what would you tell that young man?
I would tell him to go follow your father. Don't follow me. We could talk about business and we could talk about exchange ideas, because my plan and what happened, how I did it, is how I did it. And that's why I'm successful. So you have to follow what you do for you to be successful. My blessings already been done and my blessings will continue to be going. You have to follow your blessing.
Right.
So a lot of times when people go look to be what someone else is, no, be who you are.
Yeah, no, I hear that. I'm gonna push back I'm gonna push back just a little bit in, coming from an era, right, where we had, or we looked up to the old heads, right? We looked up to the OGs, right? And we whether that OG was doing, I mean, because if we're being honest, it was the crack era, right? And so
Oh yes, it was.
we looked up to them flipping birds, and it's like, yo, I want to be like, whether it was right or wrong, right? But it was this a younger generation looking up to an older generation where they saying, you had some that's like, young buck, come with me, let me show you how to do this. Others was like, yo, I'm gonna put you in trouble, I don't want to care, so I can stay out the way, right? And so I bring that up to say that, in terms of a small pushback, is it may be a young man looking at you that's from, Harlem or something, that's from, the Bronx, that's like, yo, everything they did, I loved. And Mr. Martin, I really like him. So I want to talk to him. What would you tell him? What would you tell that guy?
Again, I will go back to the same answer, but I'll twist it because the question was kind of moved up a level.
Yeah.
Listen, if I'm sitting there talking to someone and they need some inspiration, fine, that's not a problem. I'll give you inspiration. But if in order for you to be successful, how I was successful because I went my own way.
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't have anybody in front of me. I didn't want anybody in front of me, because if somebody's in front of me, I got to wait for them to tell me what to do next.
That's right.
Right? I can't fail because no one has ever done it before. So I'm doing it right.
Yeah.
So I just always push people to just go find their lane and keep moving. Right? As some of these younger people say, get your tribe and build with your tribe and keep moving. Now, again, like I said, I'm here. I'm an open book to tell you everything, I can tell you. But I always say too, if somebody comes to me and says, oh man, I want to be an entrepreneur, what do you think? Well, an entrepreneur wouldn't ask me that question.
Okay. Okay.
I also hear the Navy veteran in there, the discipline of, I guess when you're in the military, it's like self-sufficiency.
Yes. Well, yes, self-sufficiency, but we live by a rule of paying attention to detail. And I say this, when I speak to the military every once in a while, I say to them, we have this thing where if we make a mistake, somebody dies.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, military, yeah, for sure.
So, and I can't. I have to do it right.
Yeah, yeah, that's heavy. That's heavy because that's a different way of thinking, right? And that's a special way of thinking, right? Because some argue, right, making mistakes help you grow, right?
Yes, I 100% argue.
Right,
Yes,
right.
that is so right. But
Right.
that teaches you A, B, and C.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it teaches you A, B, C to get to that point. But when we on the battlefield, or I was in the Navy, or I'm in a ship and I'm on watch and I fall asleep, I'm jeopardizing everyone.
That's
I can't.
heavy. Yeah, that's heavy. That's heavy. Geez, man. One thing we always say on the show is once you come to the show, you're always welcome to come back. And I think, of course, I would love for you to come back because I think you have this wealth of knowledge, this legacy knowledge. You know what I'm saying? This legacy knowledge that is important for people to continue to hear, right? Because as you say, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, a butterfly, right? It starts out as something else, it starts as something, then it comes out the shell, then it becomes one thing. And then, after that life cycle, it goes to something else, and that's kind of like, how you and your businesses are, if this, I'm doing this, but I have to keep moving. If this is that life cycle has to move and I have to support that. And, it's this Tetris of, building, and I think that's,
I like the word Tetris. I'm gonna use that one.
yeah, there you go. Please give you a round of applause for that, my brother. But I think it's interesting because even in Tetris, the blocks aren't perfect.
Right. Correct.
They're not perfect,
Right.
but you have to fit them in a way, and sometimes they don't go in perfectly.
Right.
But you build until you can make
Right.
it perfect, right? And then
Right.
you go to the next level. And so that's how I see you, And so that's why I say, like, I always like to get, especially men, when they're doing great things, because often the perception of how we're looked at isn't the perception of what it should be, right?
Right.
It's created for us,
Right.
And
For
so,
us, by us.
for us, give you another round of applause for that one right there. It's created for us. But we need to make sure that we control that narrative with some of the things that we doing. So, my brother, I just appreciate you for coming on. And like I said, anything that you're doing, let us know, especially like some of your movies. Call us out. Like, we'll come up, show I'll do a junket or something like that. Some of your grand openings and all of that, the music stuff, the radio, let us know. We'll come up in Philly and represent. That's kind of like what we do. Is there
All right. So
any-
listen, when I come to Philly, I'm gonna hit you up so I could
sure.
be in the studio.
Yeah, no,
Absolutely,
for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Leslie linked us up, right?
Yes.
Leslie, yeah. No, she'll make sure that we're gonna bring you right in the studio, man. And some of the things that you're working on, we'll make sure that Why don't you look? Don't come up as a guest. Come up as a co-host and do the full show with us.
I'm with that too.
There you go.
Awesome.
There we do 2-hour show, 8 to 10. We want you down here, so we're gonna schedule that. My brother, really appreciate you, man. How can they get in contact with you and all that good old stuff?
Everybody just does the Instagram. So the letter J dot ALEXANDERMARTIN J dot Alexander Martin. That's for the Instagram. If that, some people maybe not have it. I don't know. If not, if you're still working with a website, it'sjalexandermartin.com. Simple as that.
You know what? Real quick, this is something different I want to do real quick because you've been in the industry so long, right? Tell me a story that was like one of the stories that was like the craziest story from your time in the industry, like doing clothes and everything. What was one of those standout stories that you was like, yo, I will never forget this?
I began to say it, but I stopped and didn't say it. But I'm going to go backwards to the point of when I was working at Macy's. So I was working at Macy's. I was doing the clothing at the same time, and I was very good at styling. And I used to have like a line of people come to the section where I used to, I didn't run it, but I was self-proclaimed ran it, but I didn't. But they would come to me to have me style their ties. That's why I worked in the tie department. And it was ties from like $300 on down to $19.99 or whatever, right? Long story short, I used to work all the time. I wanted to be a buyer. That was my thought. So I was like, I'm going to work and work and work and work, and they're going to see how hard I work, and somebody's going to get me into the merchandising program. Long story short, as a manager there at the tie department, Ken called me in the office and said, "Hey, listen, I got to write you up because look, we thought, he's basically saying I tried to steal a tie. Now the tie was $19.99, half off." And then half off of that, and then with my discount, so the tie, if I'd have bought it, it'd have been like maybe $2.99. Right? Long story short. So I'm telling them that, like, why would I steal a tie that I could pay $2.99 for? Well, I'm gonna steal a tie. I'm gonna steal one of the 300 joints, and I'm not gonna wear it, but I would steal a $300 tie, not no $2.99 a tie. And he was like, no. I was like, please don't write me up, because if you write me up, I already got the merchandising manager. He kept saying, I'm going to keep an eye on you. I'm going to check on you. And I was really trying to move my way up and get in the buyers program. I quit. And I said, the next time I come back into Macy's, step foot in Macy's, I'm going to be selling to you. Now, fast forward, the next time I stepped into Macy's, I was in Macy's window, and we did a display. We were just getting to Macy's, and instead of us doing a regular display, we were actually in the window, all four of us. And we were doing a live display.
Live mannequins.
Wow.
That was the next time I was back. I was in Macy's.
Wow.
Were the same people there?
No. So this Macy's was in Long Island, and the Macy's we were in featured in was in Herald Square, 34th Street.
Wow, that's a great story, though.
It's a great story. Yeah, we got that in the archives now. Shout out to Jay Alexander, man. Listen, it's an absolute pleasure having you on the show. And like I said, once you're on the show, you're a friend to the show. So we're going to have you back as one of our co-hosts next time you're in the Philadelphia area. How can I get in contact with you one more time?
The letter J, Alexander Martin, at J.Alexander Martin. The letter J, not J-A-Y, the letter J, Alexander Martin, orjalexandermartin.com.
Fantastic. Awesome. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go nowhere. When we come back, you got stories for us? We got a story, lady. I got a story before we end out. But my brother, thanks for coming to the show, man.
Thanks everybody for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, y'all, don't go nowhere. We'll be right back after this, y'all. Hello.
What's going on, you guys? This is Bridget Kelly, and you are locked into We Talk Weekly.
Talk Weeklies after the talk of WPPMIP Philadelphia 106.5 FM. We Talk Weeklies after the talk with your boy Charles Gregory and the beautiful
Classy Lady Sparkle
and the beautiful
Lady Esther.
Give it to me, Lady Esther.
I just wanted to update y'all quickly on some, just some community Philadelphia-based stuff. Yeah. So real quick, if you guys missed the Philadelphia Restaurant Week, King of Prussia Restaurant Week is still happening right now, March 3rd to the 14th. So y'all can check that out with restaurants like Bonefish Grill, Founding Farmers, City Works Eatery and Poorhouse.
City Works, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sullivan Steakhouse, Legal Seafood, the Capitol Grill, Melting Pot, Morton's Steakhouse, North Italia, tons of them up there with all different price points and that Restaurant Week menu and price options that we love so much, especially if you and this is always a good time when you want to try out something new. This is a good week to go. And just wanted to tell you about some things coming to the city. For starters, we have some concerts coming up March 14th, which is next week, the Millennium Tour. So if you guys are anybody don't have tickets and wanted to go to that, that is
Who's coming?
the Millennium Tour is March 14th. The Millennium Tour is with Trey Songz, Omarion, Bow Wow, Boozy Badass, Rick Ross, Plies, Ray J, Sammy, Bobby V, Pleasure P, Yang Yang Twins, and Nivea.
Oh, that's not gonna be bad. That's cute.
So that's what I said. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
So that's March 14th. April 11th, we got the Osley Brothers that's going to be in Ben Salem. Listen, they said this is a 21 and over event, y'all. Uncle Ron said he don't want no kids up in there.
It should be 60. Ain't he almost 90? I mean, it's like respect.
I
Right?
know. I was cracking up. I saw that. Okay. April 17th, Mary J. Blige and the For My Fans Only tour. She'll be with Neo and Mario. That's going to be April 17th.
Nice. Yeah,
that's
go
at the Wells
Mary.
Fargo Center. And also on April 17th, I don't know if anybody's like a Dance with the Stars fans, but they be doing tours and they're going to be here live in Ben Salem if y'all want to check that out.
Philly is just like
It's
gonna
a
be
lot.
busy.
It's a lot happening. Yeah. So we have the HBCU Festival. Definitely look into that. That's May 17th. That's just one day from 11 to 5 at the pavilion at the Mann Center at Parkside Avenue, 52nd and Parkside.
Interesting.
So with the
Hold on, you said
HBCU
festival?
Yeah, they're doing the HBCU Festival. They also do the HBCU Film Festival, which is later this year, and that's in D.C., but the festival is right here in Philly, sponsored by TD, and at the HBCU Festival, there'll be interactive college fair, live performances, master classes, panels, black-owned business market, wellness zones, and just a bunch of family fun. But
That's
definitely
great.
they're going to be out there repping all the HBCUs, so definitely check that out. And just support, you know what I mean? Just continue support for the HBCUs. The Black Star Film Festival is going to be in July, running from that weekend, July 31st to August 3rd. So all you filmmakers here in the city and everywhere else, everybody listening, submissions are open now, but they close April 1st. So if you want to enter that. Last but not least, the Roots Picnic, y'all. You know, that's a Philly favorite. And the performers list has been released. So the headliners are going to be D'Angelo, Lenny Kravitz, and Meek Mill.
D'Angelo,
I like it.
interesting.
D'Angelo.
Lenny Kravitz, me, interesting.
Yeah, other performers, Glorilla, Jeezy, Music Soul Child. Of course, The Roots, DJ Rich Medina, Blackyard Band featuring CeeLo Green, Adam Blackstone featuring Jagged Edge. Jagged Edge is going to be there. People were excited about that. Yeah, and let me see, Miguel, Tim's, Lotto, and a few others.
That's gonna be.
And D'Angelo got connections here in Philly. He has family over
does.
here. So I can see that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like second home.
Hold on. We got.
Is
We
American?
supposed to be there.
Who's
They
supposed to be there?
supposed to be hitting us back. Doing press. We supposed to be press there.
For the Roots Picnic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Supposed to be anyway.
Okay.
Now, is American Me, or is it, what's the one Jay-Z gives?
That is
Made in
Made in
America.
America.
Made in America. Is that coming?
American Me, that was a movie.
That was a
Come
movie.
Made in America.
Made in America was canceled last year.
Yeah.
I know, that's
and
why
it
I'm
doesn't. It hasn't shown
It ain't
up on the
coming
list
back.
this year.
That ain't
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah.
I think that was a relationship that probably went left. You know what I mean? So I don't think-
Yeah, I'll look more into it and keep y'all updated about
Yeah,
that.
I'm interested.
Because it's usually that, and then also the Wow Wow Festival. Yeah, that usually happens too. But coming up later in the year, I'll keep you guys posted. There'll be more stuff happening. Lil Baby's coming, Post Malone's coming, Katy Perry, and a few others later in the year. So, but that was just what's happening in Philly in the next few months, y'all.
Stuff like that. And you gotta do some more of what's happening in Philly. That's kind of like news. I
like
like
that.
that. We can do that
Yeah.
again. What's happening in Philly? We do that every day. I mean, that'd be good.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. So there you go. We Talk Weekly. What a dynamic show today. You know what I'm saying?
Very
It was a good show.
interesting.
Very interesting show. Dynamic guests. I like all the guests that we had on. We're gonna have Mr. Martin here. When he come into Philly, Fubu, he better bring some clothes, some gear.
You know what I like? When we're off air in the interviewees, they're always like, "Oh my gosh, that was some good questions y'all asked." And you're like, "Oh my goodness, this was so good." Like y'all don't hear that on air, but
they don't.
they always give that same
Yeah.
reaction.
Because
As
we-
the
we
doctor was
talk
leaving, she
weekly.
said to me, "This was really dope."
That's what's up. No doubt.
They
no
always
doubt.
come in nervous, and then they're all relaxed when they leave.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt. Because that's what we do here. We Talk Weekly, man. But we out here like last year. We Talk Weekly after Talk of WPMP, Philadelphia 106.7 96.5 FM. We Talk Weekly's After Talk with your boy Charles Greg and the beautiful.
Classy Lady
And the
Sparkle.
beautiful.
Lady S.
And we out here like last, y'all.
All right, y'all.
Peace.